Hello everybody and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review on the Host Productions. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at one of the latest B&M Exclusive action figure collector sets. This time the very bizarre Friend and Foes of the Doctor set. There's two different versions of this set available, one with a regular Cyberman and the other with a Cyber Leader. There's been a number of distribution issues with this current wave at B&M, so do bear with stores. Hopefully you'll be able to add this rather unusual thing to your collection soon. So firstly, as always, let's take a look at the packaging, and this 3-pack looks so bizarre on the shelves of B&M because it's just such an odd trio of characters. It's the Friend and Foes of the Doctor set, a rather unusual title. To make it even more unusual, apparently this set is from the 10th Doctor era, which is somewhat the problem when you decide to create colour-coordinated packaging. We have the lighter blue and figures within this set that aren't indeed from the 10th Doctor era. In fact, the majority of the figures are from the 11th Doctor. My head hurts. Although the best figure from the set is from the 10th Doctor era, so it's a win-win. At the bottom of the box we have a lovely TARDIS graphic. At the top we have the triangular shape of the 60th anniversary logo within. At the bottom the now traditional B&M limited edition sticker. I will be delighted if this one becomes a genuine collectible that is actually quite rare, because I can't see it, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Towards the side we have the features bubble, just to really hit home the contents of this set in case you thought your eyes were deceiving you. It is a part of the 5.5/14cm scale collector series. Sadly, as is now expected for the B&M exclusive line, all the figures have been pushed right to the back of the box and suffocated within a plastic shell, making it quite difficult to spot quality control issues, as well as making them look like a sirloin steak. Different variation of Doctor Who logo is present towards the top. You have your generic company stuff on the bottom, and the sides of the box repeat the same information again. This whole style guide does continue to be one of the prettiest that the B&M series has ever looked. The back of the box continues a rather minimal design, some pretty colours, although a little bit empty. We have a little bit of a write-up about all 3 characters present within this set, as well as the episodes that they are from. Figures come packaged in this rather snazzy retro blue time tunnel. Although, as per, you can't really get them out without damaging this background, which is a shame. Here we have the 3-pack out of the box. Now, between the different variations of this set, both Forever Song and the Clockwork droid remain exactly the same, only the Cyberman has changes. The year is 2024, and here I am reviewing a brand new variant of Clockwork droid. Honestly, my inner child is jumping with joy. I'm very, very happy. So let's start off in the middle of the outfit. We have this lovely creamy golden jacket. It's just a basic repaint of the previous Clockwork droids, and I am utterly fine with that. And I may be biased, but why on earth has it taken this long? Girl in the Fireplace was my first ever Doctor Who story, and I have fond memories of having this action figure as a kid, so it's so lovely to add another one to the shelf. This release feels like the Clockwork droid equivalent of that golden blue dress. It's a very unusual hue. It almost looks green, it looks a little bit cream, and it also looks gold as well. I do like it though. It is an eye-catching, dazzling colour. It definitely stands out. We have this lovely pocket decoration highlighted in a shiny golden paint, a nice textured pattern on the pocket lid, with this small button decoration around the side. It was lovely, intricate detailing back then, and the same applies now. It's the same golden paint can also be seen running down the very middle of the jacket. The gold paint itself is much shinier than the original release, which looks quite flat in comparison, so I really love this decoration. The jacket itself is rather tightly fitted to the body. There's not really much creasing towards the back. Lots more can be said about the bottom of the coat. The fabric fans out. It's got various pleats and curves within. A series of sharp edges within these curves, making all these different bends look rather realistic. I love how this all centres around these small buttons there towards the top. Again, these stud buttons have been given a golden highlight. The return of that striking gold running down the divide in the middle. As you would expect, the colouring on the arms continues from the main coat. There are a few creases and wrinkles within. It's simple, but it works well. The wrinkles are particularly present on the underarm. I can't help but think maybe a wash on the jacket could have drawn more attention to these. Due to the age of this sculpt, we are dealing with a more limited collection of articulation. There is no upper arm joint and certainly no ball joint at the shoulders. To be honest, I'm completely fine with this. It gives the figure overall a rather rigid, sturdy appearance, which is great because these are robots after all. These outfits are of course incredibly French, so the flamboyance continues with these golden embellishments around the cuffs. 3 buttons are well painted, they're inky within the lines, and I love that angular nature of the cuff itself poking to one side. Previously covered, the gold this time round really shines, so this draws a lot of attention to them. In the centre of the outfit we have this lovely dazzling white cravat. Same sculpt as the previous previous blue and purple clockwork droids, I love the bow at the top, and this lovely stippled effect towards the bottom. Like previous clockwork droids, this particular variant uses this solid white quite sparingly, so when it is used it stands out a lot. So in the very middle of the outfit, bringing the piece together, we have this cream waistcoat. Again, following the theme previously set out by the earlier clockwork droids, the black version remains the most exciting and flamboyant because I believe it's the leader. Its design is more scaled back, but still sports some lovely details. There is a base colour of a creamy white, which is really nice, with a darkened wash over the top. It is quite interesting seeing a wash effect applied to a clockwork droid, especially given that this wasn't really present when this sculpt was initially used in 2006 and 2007. The outline of the waistcoat stands out a lot with this double-lined grey trim, and the buttons have been picked out with a glossy black highlight. Again, really precise. I feel like the golds and creams really shouldn't work together, but they actually do. It looks nice. The ruffles of the undershirt poke out underneath. The sculpt is nice, they have a great shape, and of course the rest of the clockwork droids have these ruffles as well, so it's great for consistency. Clockwork droid, however, breaks the mould a little bit, as for the first time we have the use of white gloves. Every release prior has had glossy black. Adding a little bit of extra depth to this action figure, it is a different shade of white compared to the cuff. It is a more dark subdued white. The hand is sculpted in an open palm position. Same for the opposite hand as well, which makes sense. I mean, they're hardly the most expressive of creatures, are they? And if you peek up the cuff of the clockwork droid, as you can see, there is this small hole, and this allows us with great ease to pop in the little knife accessory. Know that the B&M line has been quite stingy when it's came to accessories in the past, so there was a part of me that did think they were actually going to leave this out, which will be really frustrating. It's exactly the same sculpt to previous, and it means that he too can join in with threatening people with clockwork knives, so that's nice. One thing that the B&M line does do very well is actually make shiny things look shiny. They've definitely got a grip on metallic paint application by this point, so the base silver is a lot shinier compared to the initial release. If anything, the original looks quite simple in comparison. The same for the bronze circles as well, of course mimicking the clockwork mechanics. Closest that we've seen to this in the past is the Gelfwave purple clockwork droid. That does somewhat make sense because this purple clockwork droid came out in 2009, a few years after the initial releases, so gradually over time we are seeing the paintwork evolve. The leg sculpt is shared between all of the previous clockwork droid releases. There isn't too much going on, but usually the shorts do follow exactly the same colour to the coat itself, so it's nice to have a bit of difference here. It's a little bit of extra depth to the outfit, which perhaps previous clockwork droids have lacked. A few stitching lines and creases towards the bottom, and we return to that vibrant white there with the rather long socks. Not much to say here, they stand out a lot. A few unusual grey lines on mine, don't think that's meant to be there, which is a bit of a shame, but you can't really see it too much. As for the shoes, these are a rather simple sculpt. They are a matte black paint, which previous clockwork droids have had a glossy sheen in the past, which I don't think looks as nice. And the buckle in the centre is silver, which is a first, as all of the previous ones have been bronze. I love that character options have finally returned to the clockwork droids, because we get to see them apply 2024 paint techniques to a figure that was already good in 2006. White of the face mask now has a more chalky, subdued appearance, which looks rather good, and we have the lips there highlighted with a purpley red finish. Does look rather sinister, doesn't he? Eyes themselves are rather ominous matte black, and we have this lovely golden contour surrounding the side, similar to the black and purple clockwork droids, a slight red highlight above the eyelids. Everything about this head sculpt is perfect, the expression is creepy, the paintwork is gorgeous. By far the best thing that has happened to this head sculpt is the new paint application on the hair. It's exactly the same wig with the various rolls within, but this time we have a more prominent, eye-catching silvery grey highlight. It does sell how impressive this sculpt is and the sheer volume of the hair. Similar compliments also extend around to the back, progressing too onto the top of the head. Time for the fun bit that I absolutely adored as a kid. We've got an unmasking feature. If you've got the original clockwork droids, you know exactly what to expect here. We have a transparent plastic casing. Also have a few golden poles there on the neck, which stand out quite a lot. Inner clockwork is represented by a bronze plate. It's simple but effective. Ultimately, it's too complex to replicate within the 5.5 scale, but they've done a great job. So we're off to a really good start. The highlight of the set. Welcome to the clockwork droid family. You have been long awaited. I love the colour scheme, love the small details, the gold in particular, stunning. Well, to adopt the phrase of Davina McCall, fancy another one, the next figure that we have to take a look at is River Song, apparently, from the Pandorica Opens, apparently. Now this figure is an interesting one, because when it was announced, I honestly hated it. I really hated it, and I thought that I would be ripping it apart within this review. So let's see how it goes, shall we? This figure basically requires you to completely suspend all of your belief. Pretty much, if you squint a bit, there you go. It looks like River Song from the Pandorica Opens now. All of these smaller details that you can still see, you're not really meant to see. Initially, this was the white, leathery style jacket. It's a rather thick, warm-looking winter jacket with giant lapels and a belt section in the centre. Meanwhile, this is meant to be a skin-tight spy agent outfit, which it clearly isn't. Studded belt is present in the centre of the waist. Studs also continue around to the back. I think this belt is somewhat meant to be dangling over the top of it to disguise it, or at least that's what it's like in the packaging. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help this figure out a little bit. I have in fact blue tacked the belt in place. Do you think that this helps divide up the costume a little bit, add to the illusion? We have a glossy black plastic which is used here, a series of pouches, a few silver highlights within, don't quite know what they are. I have some paint application, which I'm grateful for, especially with this figure. We have a silver tube, which I believe is the torch, and then we have her little communicator scanner in there as well, given a lovely shiny highlight. I do like that very subtle change in colour with the chrome finish on the scanner and the torch, the scanner being a more bronzy shade. On the back, we don't really have much to talk about. Again, a glossy black. It is a little bit too big for this section of the figure, so it does have a rather chunky appearance. The jacket itself does have a rather unusual sheen to it, a few creases throughout, which aren't meant to be there. We also have that fabric panel off to the figure's right hand side, which again is not really meant to be there. We have the lapels, which aren't really meant to be there. There's nothing to really make it jump out due to it all being the same colour, but we do have a rather nice trim, a little button off to the side. The rest of the collar has a series of lines within. Within the show, I do believe this was a wool finish, but that's completely obsolete here. Again, within the show, this jacket was a lot more lower cut. It was like a V-neck design. This isn't present here, so you have to suspend your belief. Back of the jacket has a rather leathery appearance. A series of panels within, a few creases and wrinkles. Ignore all of that. Within the show, there was in fact a series of silver studs running right up the middle of the outfit. I did wonder why these weren't included. It would have added just something to the costume overall that wasn't a glossy black. Maybe they tried this and it didn't look that good, so they decided not to go ahead with it. It can't be because the buttons aren't actually sculpted on and it wouldn't look good, because, I mean, accuracy is highly top priority here. As for the arms now, River Song does indeed have arms, and they are a glossy black. No surprises there. Obviously, the same details to the original figure are carried across. Give the figure overall a rather realistic appearance, just not to the costume actually seen on screen. At this point in time, 2011, character options were starting to get a little bit more adventurous with articulation, so we do have ball-jointed shoulders, so that's nice. Especially for this particular variant of River Song, being a spy, agent, burglar, whatever she is meant to be, she can pose in some rather dynamic positions with a gun. Both of River Song's hands have been painted a glossy black, a very glossy black, mimic the impression of gloves. Initial sculpt isn't actually some gloves, they've just painted the hands black. One of the hands is in a somewhat posed position in order to hold the gun accessory. It does kind of fit. You can make it look like River is holding the trigger, in considerably flexible plastic, although the natural position for the gun does seem to bend slightly to the side. For action figure photography, you will need to adjust the angle accordingly. It's alright, it's not too big of a problem. There's much bigger problems afoot here. This is the Series 5 gun that was initially a cream. It's now a shiny metallic silver. It looks quite good, to be fair. Nice details within. Wow, a B&M set with 3 figures and 3 accessories. I feel like it's Christmas. Moving down to the lower half of the figure, there is a word called remarkable, and it doesn't particularly spring to mind here. It has just been painted or sculpted in a glossy black plastic with rather basic panel detailing within the trousers towards the top, although you can barely see them. Very little going on towards the back. We don't even have any pockets. There are a few further creases and wrinkles and various stress marks. Unlike the jacket, thankfully, these trousers are a rather slim, tight fit, so they do somewhat work to the appearance as seen within the episode. It is exaggerated through the lacking creasing towards the front. Its River's gun holster is present on the opposite leg. I like how the strap wraps round. Is this present within the story? Who knows? To be honest, you can't really see the strap because it's just the same colour to the rest of the leg, which is a bit of a shame. It might have been a good opportunity just to use a different colour or something. The holster itself is a glossy black. Initially this was brown. We have a few small details, a strap poking out to the side, a small button. None of this is painted. It is a functional holster though, so the gun accessory can sit within this. Finally, we have River's cowboy boots. These are a glossy glossy black. I'm losing the will to live. Give me another colour. To be fair, I do like how the trousers are a matte black and these are a glossy. It's a nice, subtle dividing colour, kinda like the panels on Dalek Sec. And the gloss does shine quite a lot, so that's nice. Accuracy-wise, who knows? Now moving on to the biggest change for this action figure, we have a brand new head sculpt for Alex Kingston, which when this set was initially released, again I hated this likeness, I thought it was appalling. However, I have a big bugbear, yes another one, with the packaging. As you all probably know, I absolutely hate this design of packaging anyway, it suffocates the action figure, visually it looks awful. However, for this particular release, it also makes River Song's head look incredibly glossy. It looks like she's sweating buckets. When I got this figure out of the box, I was pleasantly surprised because it is much less waxy than the packaging leads you to believe. This leads us to a head sculpt with accompanying paint application that is actually, I think, really good. Vortex Edition effect has been used so the plastic has actually been sculpted within the base colour skin tone with additional smaller paint added over the top. I love the texturing within the hair, the various curls. Almost a ginger with this yellowy wash over the top. It really elevates the sculpt. Far superior to just a block colour. I have a separate piece of plastic which is a ponytail and the same paint effects apply. It feels so bizarre having a River Song action figure with a different hair sculpt. It is a far superior hair to what we've seen previously with the Series 5 River, where there is that significant gap between the head and the hair. It's not the best. I think this new likeness is really good. I think it definitely looks like Alex. I love that slight smirk within the expression. The lips have been nicely painted, a vibrant light pink. Because the base colour hasn't been painted on, I feel like we haven't lost any of those smaller details within the face, so the eyes really nicely stand out with the light blue iris in the middle. Yeah, I'm really happy with this likeness. I think my only critique is perhaps the base colour on the skin is slightly too pale. It looks a little bit pasty. There we go, that's River, and I am really confused because everything on paper about this action figure I hate. It's not at all accurate to what is seen on screen, but for some reason, I like it. Maybe I'm blinded by the new head sculpt, I've got no idea. I'm going to justify liking this release by saying it's River Song from the Eternity Clock because it's a game that I've not played, so it could plausibly be quite realistic to an outfit as seen within those adventures, or even one of her Big Finish audio dramas. There is still no hiding the fact that from the neck downwards this figure does absolutely nothing. It's not exciting to look at, there's no nice details really, other than the gun and the scanner, so yeah, it's really not that notable, it's forgettable. Surely the fact that character options have used budget to make this new Alex Kingston head also pretty much confirms that we will get more 11th Doctor era sets in the future. Who knows? And so we end out this review taking a look at the third and final figure, which is a Series 6 version of Cyberman. Firstly, we'll recap the familiar aspects of the sculpt and then we'll talk about the new paintwork. Cyberman's boots are divided into several panels, getting progressively smaller. Always like that these are even textured on the base. The various armoured panels within the leg nicely curve, showing how the light bounces off the silver, with some smaller panels towards the back. The armour on the upper leg is slightly larger, complete with the usual handlebars off to the side, for some reason. Love the small bolt design near the knee joint, and how this panel curves towards the upper half of the leg, again with a further bolt design. Due to the new paint applications, the crotch section stands out a lot more than usual, featuring a further grating design within. As is now traditional, he's got some company information stamped on his backside. Although bizarrely, this is a slightly shorter read than your earlier Cyberman releases. All the dates have now been removed. This section is now actually slightly flatter than the earlier releases as well, where they've took away the initial copyright. The initial was much more curved. Can't believe that I'm commenting on the curvature of a Cyberman's arse. That is what life has came to. We are all rather familiar with the central torso section. This gets progressively smaller and is divided into panels as you move down the torso. Love the small line details off to the side. Especially around this section, the new paint applications really help divide up the armour and visually make the Cyberman look more interesting. In the centre of the torso we have the chest plate which has been risen above the rest of the armour. As always, this pokes out rather considerably, and there's also the three spokes surrounding the side as well. The centre of the chest plate, however, is now flat. There is no Cybus Industries logo. On the vast majority of Cybermen, it usually looks like this, and that is because this Cyberman is from Doctor Who Series 6, the Cyber Legion or something like that, so the two black circles are now simply printed on. Sadly, this means that this Cyberman has adopted the same design to the initial Cyber Legion Cyberman from Series 6, which is the less good of the bunch. This Cyberman is now an incredibly rare release, and I only seen it once in store, and I picked that one up, and sadly, he has a rather wonky head handle. That is actually really bad. I've never noticed how bad that was. Still glad that I got him though, because I otherwise wouldn't have got him at all. This Cyberman is also not that good because this insignia is still printed onto the torso chest plate, unlike the later Series 6 Closing Time Cybermen, where this was actually a sculpted chest plate section. Bit of a shame really. I'm assuming that maybe the sculpt has been lost or something, I don't know. This design does look a lot better, it doesn't look like it's just been printed on. As for the back of the Cyberman, same to usual, that lovely shiny silver. We also have what I call the two giant paper clips there. For the arms, exactly the same sculpt to usual, still very nice though. The new silvery finish is very striking, it really highlights the various angles within the armour. Further small nuts and bolts on the elbows at the bottom and top with those pointed shoulder sections, and the pointless handlebars, once again return, very nice. As for the lower arm, more of the same really, lots of shiny silver. It's just your standard Cyberman arm, there's no additional gun extending out or anything like that. Let's face it, he doesn't exactly need an additional gun, he's got this giant thing. Hands for the Cyberman are the more outstretched, threatening design. Really like the smaller details within that. The outstretched hands also help to hold the large gun accessory. So way back when this Cyberman gun was initially released with Mickey Smith within the Army of Ghosts gift set and then single-cardedly, it's also been released quite a number of times in the early days of the B&M Exclusive line. We do have a matte black base colour with a lovely silver wash over the top. It allows for some of the more exciting details, the various ridges and panels to stand out. We have the two barrels of the gun there at the end. Unlike earlier releases, there's no icon at the back, and there is the pump action trigger there at the front as well. Now sadly, the Cyberman's hand may be sculpted to hold the gun, but it is a rather loose fit. It does tend to fall out quite easily. Suppose this is nothing a little bit of blue tack can't solve, but it's still a shame. Now I know that this revised colour palette is meant to be from the 11th Doctor era, but to be quite honest, I think this would also be quite beneficial from the earlier versions of Cyberman from the 10th Doctor era, especially this darker colour scheme in between the metal panels. As to be honest, when you compare them side by side, the earlier version of Cyberman now looks really flat and boring. There's no differentiating between the panels and the tubing underneath, but we have a darker jet black base colour which has been used with a silver grey wash on top. This really digs into the crevices of the various wires, also divide up the smaller areas as well, like on the shoulders, in between the elbows, particularly behind the knees. These paint applications alone absolutely make both of these Cybermen variants a worthy release. The head sculpt is as brilliant as ever, it's nicely been scaled down to the 5.5 of all the various panels, that V-shape in the centre. To start off with, this is the standard version of Cyberman, so the handlebars are also a silver. Small panels and things on the back, nothing too exciting. Something that I really love about both of these new Cyberman variants is the blackness within the eyes. It's an incredibly deep, prominent black. It stands out a lot more than earlier Cyberman releases. I particularly like that the black also seeps down into the tear ducts of the eye and can also be seen at the mouth. It makes them stand out a lot more. So much like how we had with the 5 Doctors collector set exclusive to B&M a number of years ago, there is an alternative variant of this set with a Cyber Leader head. And that means the one major difference is the handlebars on the top of his head are now a glossy black. And that is the only difference. So there really isn't much in it. They do stand out quite a lot, to be fair. It's nice, I suppose, if you want to build a cyber army. Quite honest, just pick one you like. It's not really worth buying both of them unless you really are a completist. And then wait until 2025 to get the other. It will absolutely get reduced in price. There's no way all these 3 packs are getting sold off the shelves. You never know, you may get the other Cyberman variant for really cheap down the line. I mean, that worked for me a few years ago with this set. I ended up getting the other Weeping Angel variant. Even better, I think I only paid £7 in the end. Stock-wise, both of the Cybermen variants are also the same, it's not like one is rarer than the other. So very much like how the Daleks have received revised paint apps within the B&M exclusive line, the Cybermen have also received this wonderfully dazzling new silver paint application. From head to toe, it's stunning. The light bounces off the Cyberman, it without a doubt looks like a metal rather than a plastic. The 2006 Cybermen now look so dull in comparison. Now, these are the shiny Cybermen that I can recall from my childhood being incredibly menacing. I just love the finish overall. No additional wash or anything like that, but to be quite honest, it doesn't need it. It's fine being pristine, it looks stunning. Again, I'm really pleasantly surprised by these 2 Cybermen releases. They are a very welcome addition to the shelf, and the revised paint apps justify their release. The gun accessories are nice as well. You know what? I've really enjoyed reviewing this set, and I really didn't expect that. I thought I'd buy it for completist reasons, and then probably question my life choices. But all three figures within this set have something to offer. The two alternative versions of Cybermen have a really lovely new finish to them. I love the silvery effect. Shame about the chest plate though. The variant of the Cyber Leader, I suppose if you're a completist, is fine, although it's not completely necessary. The Clockwork droid is utterly superb. It's really, really welcome to have another one for the shelf because it is such a great action figure in the first place, and the new colour scheme is also really nice. As for River Song, from the neck downwards it's a rather odd release because it's never going to be perfect, but that new likeness and head sculpt to Alex Kingston is actually very good. It's just a shame about the rest of the figure being very unusual. Is there other characters that they could have put within this set to replace this figure? Yes, absolutely. If you're someone who is debating getting this set but is a little bit unsure, what I recommend doing is going into store, looking at it on the shop shelf and just seeing what you think. I'm pleasantly surprised by it, however my bar was set very, very low, and I mean very low. I'm really surprised that I'm defending this set and it feels really weird defending it, so there you go, take from that what you will. If you know you won't like it, don't waste your money on it. It is without a doubt one of the oddest and most bizarre action figure sets to date. The Clockwork droids are nice though, so there you go. Thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed, have a nice day, I shall see you all next time. Bye bye!